So here's a simple shoe model, and I want to render it on a white background and make the lighting pretty even. So the best way to do that is probably creating a LightBox. I'm gonna do a quick Google search to show you how a LightBox looks in the real world. And it's basically pretty much, as the name implies, a box with light coming in from, well, in this case from 3 sides. So translucent material, 3 lights, a white backdrop, and your model in the center. And to create something like that in 3D Max is pretty straightforward. Create a box. Like that. Delete one of the faces. Flip the rest inside out, so they're facing inwards. And maybe let's select all the edges and create some sort of a frame to make it a bit more natural. And from these created splines, just create a geometry, leave it at radial, and that's going to be fine. Okay. And now let's set up a simple material. So a basic translucent V-Ray two-sided material for these parts that will let the light through. Just regular white V-Ray material as the submaterial. Let's try to 40 or so. And leave the rest of the settings as they are. And for the frame, I'm going to use a light plastic looking material. Okay, so it's not too noticeable, but it's there. Slightly reflective, set the Fresnel maybe 2.5 and make it less glossy. Okay, assign, and that's your basic LightBox. And one more thing we need to complete the setup is a background. So if you notice here, it's a basic piece of paper, not folded but bent in this part here. So you can create something very similar by creating a line and filleting this corner vertex like that. Now just extrude it. Make sure it's wide enough for your object. And like that. Okay. I think it looks inside out, so I'm gonna flip the normals. Yep. That's better. And let's add another material to our material editor and create white paper. So 240 white, bit reflective. Reflections are very blurry. Okay, and Fresnel at maybe 4. Basic paper material. And drag and drop on your backdrop. Okay. So now we need to create a camera. Set the correct dimensions of our rendering, at least the proportions. For example, I want this to be a vertical render. Well, actually, let's make it square. And maybe let's increase the focal length. Looks like I have accidentally created two cameras. Okay, something like a 60mm lens looks good in this case. Okay, and once you render it looks just black because we don't have any lights. So let's create some spherical V-Ray lights. Slightly yellow tint. Set the multiplier to maybe, okay, let's start with 50. And one on top. And one on each side. Make an instance. This way you have to adjust only one of them to fix the light levels in your scene. Okay. And let's switch to V-Ray RT. And see how it looks. Okay, I don't want to use the CUDA. I want to use the CPU mode. It's going to be a bit faster now. I mean, the render is not going to be faster, but the rest of my actions will be a bit faster. Okay. It's a bit too slow. Maybe let's make it smaller. Looks like the scene is a bit too dark, so let's select our camera and actually let's just adjust the lights. Let's bring them up to 100. And I think it's gonna be good. So let's try a regular production render. And the render is a bit patchy. That's because our radiance map and light cache settings are a bit low, but overall I think it looks good. Nice even lighting, shows off the object perfectly. So that's your basic lightbox. You can render all sorts of different objects in it. For example, let's merge in something different. Let's try to render a small perfume bottle. And it's a pretty nice way to show off some small objects on white backgrounds with pretty even lighting. Okay, it looks pretty good. With some post-production it would look even better. example, let's adjust the curve slightly, bring up the contrast. And notice how soft all the reflections are. There are no sharp transitions in the light. Looks very nice and soft. Okay, so great way to show off your objects with smooth lighting. So once you have the scene ready, you can get rid of the objects and adjust your settings for a high quality render. And for that I'm going to increase my DMC sampler to 50, enable anti-aliasing filter. I use Michel Naturale almost exclusively, and I like to reduce the blurring to 0.25. Okay. Also increase the irradiance map from very low to low, and bump up the subdivisions to 60. Let's try samples at 40. Okay, maybe 70 subdos. And increase the light hash to 1000. And enable pre-filter at 100. Alright. And finally reduce the adaptive amount to 0.7 and noise threshold to 0.008. And the settings should give you pretty decent high quality final renders. Just set up on the final dimensions of your render and you're good to go. So let's save that as LightBox.